Well, today's video is about an intersection between the coronavirus and evolution, and it is precipitated as a result of reading an article in the Wall Street Journal, an article titled How Nature Finds a Way. It's a review by Daniel Levitin of Neil Shubin's new book, Some Assembly Required. Shubin is also the author of Your Inner Fish. Well, if Levitin is anything, he is exceedingly clever. In his Wall Street Journal article, he uses the coronavirus pandemic to urge us to ponder what viruses are and to thank a particularly benevolent virus for giving us the ability to read and to remember. Says Levitin, he says, all land-living animals have a gene called ARC. That stands for Activity Regulated Cytoskeleton. So they have a gene called ARC due to a virus, and by the way, that virus is a relative of HIV, that invaded the genome of our common ancestor about 375 million years ago. So that raises the question, what is a virus? Well, according to Stanford Medicine, viruses are the most abundant life form on this earth. Try multiplying a billion by a trillion, then multiply that by 1,000, and that is the mind-numbing estimate of how many individual viral particles are estimated to populate our planet. This is sort of like the number of grains of sand on all the beaches on our Earth. And if you take that number, it pales in comparison to the number that we're discussing. Moreover, viruses are very efficient. They travel light, they pack only the baggage they need to hack into a cell, they commandeer its molecular machinery, they multiply, and then they make an escape. Interestingly enough, the kryptonite that negates the superpower of enveloped coronaviruses is plain old soap and water. The soap disrupts the virus's greasy membranes, which explains why washing your hands is so incredibly effective. And bear in mind that even the simplest virus, a package of nucleic acid and protein, is extraordinarily complex and organized. And since Shubin and Levitin suppose that viruses gave us the ability to think, let's use that ability to think and apply it to the notion that a vastly complex and organized coronavirus could have arisen by mere chance. Well, maybe that's too ambitious. Let's just use our cognitive abilities to ponder the probability of a single coronavirus protein molecule, a single protein within the coronavirus arising by chance. Now, if you gave our evolutionary writers every possible concession, the probability of a single coronavirus protein being arranged by chance is 1 in 10 to the 161st power. Now that's an enormous number. And to give you some kind of perspective on how enormous that number really is, Dr. James Coppedge, an expert in the science of statistical probability, uses a very memorable illustration. It's an illustration of an amoeba. An amoeba is a microscopic one-celled animal, and that amoeba is attempting to move the entire universe, including every person, the Earth, the solar system, the Milky Way galaxy, the billions of other galaxies, all over one universe. So moving it over the width of one universe and then doing it atom by atom. It's incredible. Here's his illustration, if I can find it. He says this amoeba is going to move the entire universe over one universe at the slowest possible speed. The amoeba is going to move 1 angstrom unit. The angstrom unit is the width of a hydrogen atom, the smallest known atom, every 15 billion years, which is the supposed age of the universe. So obviously the amoeba would have to move zillions of times before the naked eye could detect that it moved at all. At that rate of speed, the amoeba travels 93 billion light years and puts an atom down one universe over. It then travels back at the same rate of speed and takes another atom from the hangnail of your little finger and moves that over one universe. Once it has moved you over, it then moves the next person and then the next atom by atom until it has moved all 8 billion or so people on planet Earth. It then moves over all the houses and cars, the solar system, the Milky Way galaxy, and the billions of other galaxies that exist in the known universe. Now, in the time that it took to do all of that, we would not be remotely close to forming one protein molecule by random chance. And if, however, a protein molecule is eventually formed by chance, forming the second one would be infinitely more difficult. So as you can see, the science of statistical probability demonstrates conclusively that forming a protein molecule by random processes is not only improbable, it is indeed impossible. And forming a coronavirus, well, that's beyond any illustration I could possibly come up with. It is simply absurd. It's absurd to the highest degree to suggest, as Shubin and Levitin do, that human intelligence, the ability to read, write, remember, evolved through the naturalistic happenstance of a viral infection. And oh, by the way, while you're using our allegedly virus-induced ability to think, consider or think about tap water. The tap water that you use each time you wash your hands in protection against the coronavirus. Think about tap water. The solid state of most substances is more dense than their liquid state. But the opposite is true of water, which explains why ice floats rather than sinks. If water were like virtually any other liquid, it would freeze from the bottom up rather than from the top down, killing aquatic life, destroying the oxygen supply, and making Earth uninhabitable. So from the tap water to the tides, to the temperatures that you and I can so easily take for granted, the Earth is an unparalleled planetary masterpiece that should never be carelessly pawned off as the result of blind evolutionary processes. And yet, tragically, in our age of scientific enlightenment, many, like Shubin and Levitin, many who are featured in prestigious magazines or newspapers like the Wall Street Journal, are doing that very thing. We, in our epoch of time, ought to use our discernment skills. And when we do, we'll discern between wheat and chaff, heat and light, and come to a true valuation of things. I've written about the evolutionary improbability in a book called The Face That Demonstrates the Farce of Evolution. Another permutation of that book is The Farce of Evolution, and also a book called The Creation Answer Book, which answers all kinds of questions with respect to the issue of origins, which is not only an apologetic issue, it is the apologetic issue. Thanks for tuning in. Look forward to meeting you again on the next video.